Welcome back, everybody. I am Jesse Cofield over here. We have DraftKings contributor Steve Buchanan. We have VSiN's Josh Applebaum, and it is getting hot in here because I want to know.
It actually is, though.
It actually is very warm in here, but I do want to know, what are you sweating? So, like, what storylines are making you perhaps a little nervous about some Week 17 bets? Some things that are making you give a second thought before you place those bets. Steve, that was a very convincing scared face. So, Tua has entered the league's concussion protocol yet again. They've lost 4 straight. They got a playoff berth on the line. How much are you sweating his availability / this Miami offense in general?
Yeah, it's a huge knock to this offense, because when you think about it here too, people always kind of rag about how Tua can't throw the deep ball or whatnot. If you look at his average pass attempts per game, he takes about 6 per game of 20 or more yards. That sounds like somebody who can, huck the ball down the field a little bit there. Then you have Teddy Bridgewater, who's only taken 60 pass attempts on the year in the 4 games that he's made, but only 6 pass attempts of 20 plus yards. That's really going to limit the downfield damage that this team has done so well all throughout the year, whether it's Jalen Waddle, whether it's Tyreek Hill, and then they're going to have a lot of struggle to run the ball against this Patriots defense. So I think this is a huge knock against the Dolphins offense altogether here. So I think this is really something you have to think about when considering placing your bet if you're on the side of the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Steve. And I think if you look at the line movement, that's going to tell you the biggest story here. What are the odds makers? How are they treating the fact that Tua can't play this game? Well, they've adjusted the number huge in favor of the Patriots here. When we thought Tua was maybe going to play, this was a short favorite here for the Miami Dolphins, laying 2 on the road. Now it's flipped all the way to Patriots -2.5. So I love dog to fave line moves. When you open up as a dog, you flip to a favorite. Now this isn't maybe a true sharp move because it's injury based here, but I think this is a big advantage with Belichick going up against Bridgewater over Tua. So I'm on the Patriots money line. That's my best bet today. I like this move toward the Pats, but also keep an eye out for this under. This has seen a lot of respected money. It was kind of as high as like 43.5. You're down to 41. A minute ago it was 41. I just saw it go down to 40.5. So always late game day movement is important to me. A lot of movement here going under. Outdoor divisional unders this year, 33-15, 69%. These are also 2 of the slowest teams in the NFL. I think you look at pace in basketball a lot. It also can play a part here in football. If you run less plays, less opportunities to score. Patriots are 27th. Miami's 30th in plays per game. I'm going under, and I like the Patriots to win this game.
All right, guys, Broncos fire Nathaniel Hackett after a 4-11 season, 12.5-point dogs to the Chiefs. When the Panthers fired Matt Rule, they lost and failed to cover in their first game, but they're still 5-5 since the coaching change, still in the playoff hunt here. Chiefs are 5-9-1 against the spread this season. Any worry that the Chiefs struggle here against like a potentially fired up Broncos, Steve?
Fired up and Broncos do not belong in the same sentence. So
Okay.
let's just make that perfectly clear. Now, if you look at what's happened all throughout the year, this has been a letdown spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have not performed well, at least against the spread, as double-digit favorites, which they are here today. They're 1-2-1 against the spread as double-digit favorites. But we're talking about the Denver Broncos, who, as this graphic eloquently says, are averaging 15.5 points per game. That is the lowest in the league. Think about that for a second. Teams like the Colts, the Texans, even the Panthers are averaging more points per game than this Denver Broncos team right now. Now, to be fair, the Broncos were able to cover that 8.5-point spread that they were the last time they faced the Chiefs earlier this season, but it feels like this Broncos team has just been going backwards really ever since that game. Backwards all throughout the year, let's be totally honest here. But it feels like, the locker room has been trying to rally around Russell Wilson or whatnot. I mean, I just can't. I can't fathom having the Broncos cover this game, even trying to back them in this scenario here. The Chiefs are still trying to vie for the best possible seeding in this game, so it's not like they're playing with a shortened staff or anything like that. So I like the Chiefs in this spot, even with that big spread.
So to me, it's either you take the points with the Broncos here, hold your nose, or you don't bet it at all. I mean, there are some angles here, as gross as it sounds. We know the issues that have plagued really the Broncos all season long: quarterback play, coach play. Probably gonna have a lot of changes in the offseason here. But if you look at the way this line moved, basically like 24 hours ago, this was Kansas City laying 13. Now you're down to 12.5 at some shops. So there's some movement here going to Denver. Double-digit dogs in the NFL this year, 12-8 against the spread, 60%. Also, there's a crazy system. If you're a dog off a blowout loss, you lose by 20 points or more, you come back the next week, it's actually a pretty good spot to buy low on these gross double-digit dogs. They're 13-5 this year, 72%. So it's a gross one. I lean toward the points, but I kind of like the under a little bit better. This would be another outdoor divisional under. Kind of reminds me of the big spread, close to 14. Kind of like that Titans game against the Cowboys. This is going to be around a 2-touchdown game. I lean under here. It's going to be a little bit windy there in Kansas City, and you have seen Denver 11-4 to the under, one of the best under teams this year.
All right, guys, the Jets have both quarterbacks healthy. Decide to go with Mike White here under center. They got their playoff hopes in the balance. All eyes here. They are 2-point favorites in Seattle against the Seahawks team, also fighting for their playoff lives. So, Steve, the question is, do you like this decision by the Jets? Because there has certainly been a quarterback controversy this year.
There's no controversy. The right quarterback is going under center here tonight. I mean, Mike White has just been so much better than Zach Wilson here. Like, you're looking at these numbers here, the comparison. This is like an egregiously much lower number of games from Mike White than what we're getting from Zach Wilson here. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but that offensive line feels like they don't want to protect Zach Wilson at all. The man is running for his life every single time the ball is snapped back to him, where it feels like Mike White's getting a pretty clean bucket almost every other time. That's just a conspiracy theory. It's 2023. We can do that, okay? That being said, just Wilson, when he played those couple games without Mike White, extremely inaccurate against teams that he should not be inaccurate against, Jacksonville Jaguars and Detroit Lions here. So it's just not there with Zach Wilson. This is a lost season for him, whatever the Jets decide to do. They were saying earlier today they're not going to shop him. Okay, sure, we'll see how that plays out. But it's like, this is Mike White's team moving forward. He's been the better quarterback. This is the right guy to go with.
I'm with you on this one, Steve. And big thing to me is turnovers. Obviously, when Zach Wilson's in there, he's good for at least a couple, interceptions a game. Mike White gives you fewer turnovers here, but I'll go money line here on the Jets. This reminds me a lot of the Patriots game. Dog to fave line move in favor of the Jets here. This one opened up. Some shops were Seattle laying 1.5 at home. It's now flipped to Jets -1.5 on the road with Mike White. And I am seeing some late game day movement right now up to -2. So line keeps going to the Jets here. And you can look at the stats and everything, Steve, but also you hear the vibe in the locker room. They don't want to play for Zach Wilson. Mike White gives them a chance. Feels like there's more buy-in in the locker room when Mike White starts. Also a rest advantage. Remember, the Jets had a really bad loss to Jacksonville on Thursday. They have 2-day rest advantage over their opponent, their Seahawks, who played Christmas Eve. So I'll go money line, dog to fave with the Jets here.
And just real quick, too, don't take away from how good the Jets have been defensively, whereas Seattle's really struggled offensively as of late. Tyler Lockett is expected to play, but he's got that broken finger, too, how much that affects him. So I'm with you. I think the Jets are the play here, so how good that defense has been.
All right, good stuff, guys. Up next, Julian Edlow going to join me for some hidden jewels. He's going to break down the best props available on the board for Week 17. The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll be right back.
This better be good.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this season, new customers can bet $5 to win $200 in free bets instantly. Use code SWEAT when you sign up. What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield. He's Julian Edlow, here for an aptly named segment called Hidden Jewels. That's a play on your name.
Get it?
All right, yeah,
There's
I
my
do.
face.
I do. There's your face.
Yep.
All right, I need your favorite prop bets for Week 17, starting with Isaiah Pacheco here.
Yes, we are going to start with that gross Kansas City-Denver game. Obviously, the Broncos in some trouble. The Chiefs still playing for the 1 seed. We're going with the rookie over. This is ticked down, by the way. 60.5 rushing yards. Denver ranks right in the middle of the league when it comes to rushing yards per game allowed. They're 16th, 117 per game, so meh on the matchup. But they did give up 158 last week in that embarrassing loss to the Rams. Since Week 10, Pacheco averages 15.6 carries per game for just under 77 yards per game. He's gone over this number in 6 of those 7 games, if we're talking about 60.5 yards. And then obviously you got the game script here setting up nicely. You've got a double-digit home favorite. That sets up well for the home rookie running back to be getting some carries late to potentially get us over this number.
All right, talk to me about Jamal Williams for your next pick.
Yes, we're going to Jamal Williams, another running back rushing prop over for this next one. This one ticked up a yard, actually. It was 49.5. We're looking at 50.5 now on DraftKings Sportsbook. He's stayed under this in 4 in a row, averaging just 29 rushing yards per game. So we're getting a little bit of a discount here, I think. He does have double-digit carries in 3 of those 4 games that he's stayed under. And he went over this in his previous 10 games after staying under 4 times in a row, averaging more than 70 rushing yards per game during that 10 in a row streak. The Bears have the 3rd worst run defense in the NFL. They're allowing 151.2 yards per game and 254 last week to the Bills, who aren't necessarily the best running team. So you got the Lions now. Game script sets up as home favorites in a really good matchup that he performed well in earlier in the year. I think this is a bounce-back spot for Jamal Williams to get back over 50 rushing yards.
All right, another over for you with Kenny Pickett
we like
here.
overs.
Yeah, you're loving the overs today. Tell me why you think he's going over 193.5 here.
193.5, really low for a passing yard prop. Obviously, it's not like Kenny Pickett has gone nuts too many times this year, but he has gone over this number of 193.5 in 4 of his last 5 full games played. So that's just under 216 passing yards per game in those 5 games. Baltimore ranks in the bottom quarter of the NFL in terms of passing yards allowed, giving up 239.5 per game. And then you got the road dogs, so that potentially sets up passing situations late in the game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. We've seen this total tick all the way down to 35, but I think that Kenny Pickett can get into the 200s in terms of passing yards here.
All right, and then finally, you're going with Saquon anytime touchdown score, which, I mean, he's the focal point of the offense here. So.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. Minus 140 is some juice, but given some of the anytime touchdown favorites that we've seen this season, I don't think this is too bad at all going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Barkley, he has 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. He's scored in 4 of his last 5 games. He scored in 6 of his last 8 games. The only one that he missed in terms of those last 5 was a blowout loss to Philly, so it didn't really call for running the ball. Colts ranked 27th in the NFL in terms of rushing touchdowns allowed this season. Indy has given up 7 rushing touchdowns over the last 3 games. That is bad. Over 2.3 per game. Barkley's going to get in for one of these. He's a home favorite. Giants are going to want to run the ball against an Indy team that has just been all over the place. I really like Saquon to find the end zone in this one.
All right, good stuff. Jules, thank you.
you.
Those were definitely some hidden jewels. We are on to 2023, though. It is New Year's Day. So what are our analysts suggesting NFL teams change in the new year? Find out when The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, continues. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this season, new customers can bet $5 to win $200 in free bets instantly. Use code SWEAT when you sign up. Final block of the show. I'm your host, Jesse Cofield, joined by everybody here. We got DraftKings contributors Steve Buchanan, Julian Edlow, VSiN's Josh Applebaum, and it is time for our New Year's resolutions. Okay, so which teams need New Year's resolutions, and what is a bet to go along with it? Julian, lay it down.
The Bears don't have much to cheer about this season. They're in the mix for the #1 overall pick, but let's give them a New Year's resolution. We're going to give them Justin Fields to set the single-season rushing record for a quarterback. Lamar Jackson has it at just over 1,200 yards. Justin Fields just got above 1,000 yards on the season, so he needs 195 yards in these last 2 weeks, and he has the perfect matchup on deck against the Detroit Lions, who allow the most rushing yards per game this season to the quarterback position. As we've mentioned on the show, 13 carries for 147 yards last time he played Detroit. This is the game indoors that he's going to rack up those rushing yards, get it close for next week against Minnesota, and set the single-season rushing yard record for the quarterback position.
All right, Josh, hit us with your resolution.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Houston Texans here. They're plus 3.5 dog today against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Actually been some smart money. It was actually 4 down to 3. There's some buyback at 3.5. But I'm looking at them in their future right now because you had Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he's gone. You got all these draft picks. You need to nail these draft picks. So I think if you're betting the NFL right now, obviously we're all sad. You know, we're excited for playoffs, but the regular season is winding down, but you can bet on the NFL draft market. It's out there, and it's going to move a lot here. So I think a lot of these NFL draft prop bets, you want to get them sooner rather than later to get a good number here. So my resolution for the Texans to turn around your program here, get the #1 pick, draft Bryce Young, minus 120 first overall. He's minus 120. This was kind of a pick-em play with C.J. Stroud about a week ago. We've now seen Bryce Young go to a minus number. This is one of those bets where it's minus 120 today. You're not thinking about the draft, but give it a month, 2 months, 3 months. He could be up to minus 500 and have a bigger number here before you know it. So nail this pick, turn your franchise around. Resolution Texans. I'm going to draft Bryce Young minus 120.
Yeah, we were talking in the earlier show, and Julian said he's the dude.
He is that dude.
He's that
5
dude.
touchdowns in the Sugar Bowl will also help move you from even money to minus 120 overnight.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, Steve, hit us with your resolution.
You know, some people want to wake up and they go, you know, it's a new year, I'm going to start over. I'm going to start anew.
New year,
We
new
need the
me.
Minnesota Vikings to not do that. Be who you were all throughout the 2022 season and hitting the game total over once again, something they've done in 5 straight games now, 10-5 to hitting the over on the season, going over 47.5 today against the Green Bay Packers. Like I mentioned, they're one of 4 teams to have that 10-5 record and doing it by an average of 3.6 points on the year. I think this is a good spot for this game to go over there. Minnesota is allowing the highest pass per pass attempts, 7.5 there. Obviously, Rodgers can go downfield with ease in this game against whatever you want to call this Minnesota Vikings defense. I think this is a great spot for to get another over 47.5 with the Vikings and Packers today.
All right, good stuff. Guys, anyone have a personal New Year's resolution they want to share? We have about a minute here.
For Steve to start losing some best bets.
12-1-1.
That sounds like a personal vendetta.
Yeah,
More
that
than a
doesn't
personal
That's
sound
my
resolution.
New Year's resolution.
so much like a resolution,
Right.
Julian, as a personal
Reeks
vendetta.
of jealousy.
Yeah. Anybody? No?
We'll keep it to myself.
All right, fine.
You know what? Not do another show with Emerson. That would
That
be
is
Emerson.
fair
Well, that's
enough.
going to work
I miss
because
him.
he's
Emerson
gone.
is in his hometown of Stowe, Vermont, which is not actually his
Sworn
hometown.
he was from Jackson.
Could have sworn he was from Jacksonville, big Jags guy, but apparently his hometown is actually Stowe, Vermont. So
He's a big vacation guy. is
He's
what
a
it
big
sounds
vacation guy, always, and especially here on New Year's Day when we're doing an important show, we just find him not
Well,
here.
we're supposed to be here bright and early.
Bright and early, and we were because we had a show at 9 a.m. because
Ohio.
Ohio. We are now
welcome.
live in
Congrats.
Ohio. So if you're in Ohio and you're watching this now, make sure you go sign up for DraftKings. It's going to be great. We
That'd
love
be
that for
smart to
you.
do.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you here. Thank you for watching the show. And go ahead and enjoy the games. We are live every weekday as well as on Sundays. So make sure you join us on Monday.
Do it.